Okay guys, in this lesson we are going to try and add the game over panel along with its logic. If we can do that in the same session, that's neat. Okay, so first off, let's open the canvas and create a new panel, or just duplicate the menu panel right here. We can rename it to game over. Okay, perfect. And this one will be a bit darker than the two others. So let's make it like so. Okay, perfect. We can also change the text displayed on the button and say retry. Okay, perfect. We can rename this to retry button. Cool. And we can also change the callback of the button. And we are going to do that soon. So for now, let's just remove the callback from here. Okay, perfect. Let's now open the UI manager because we want to edit it a bit. We need to add our brand new game object, which is going to be the game over panel. So let's call it game over panel. Okay. And at start, we want to hide the game over panel. So like we've done for the game panel, let's disable it. Okay. We also want to create a new method here. So let's make it public. It's going to be retry button pressed. And this retry button pressed method will only be in charge of reloading the scene. So it's the same logic that we've used in the player detection here, if you remember. So we can just grab this line, go back to the UI manager and paste it. But to be able to use it, we need to add the Unity Engine scene management library. Perfect, we're pretty much done here. We also want to add a method for showing the game over panel. So let's create a, let's say public method for now. Let's call it show game over. All right, perfect. This method will hide the game panel. So game panel.setActive false. And we'll show the game over panel. So game over panel.setActive true, like so. But when do we want to do that? We want to do that when the game manager state has changed to game over. So we need to subscribe to the game manager event, which is sent whenever the state has changed. So let's subscribe to it in the start method. We can say game manager.onGameState changed plus equals game state changed callback. Okay. And if you remember well, we also need to unsubscribe to this event whenever we destroy this game object. So let's call onDestroy. Let's paste this line and remove the plus to a minus to unsubscribe. Cool. We can now create this new method. And we are going to create it under the update method. So let's say private void game state changed callback, which will take a game manager.gameState argument. Perfect. Let's rename this variable to gameState. I think it speaks more for itself. Okay. If the gameState equals game over, we want to show the game over panel. Okay. So now that we can show the game over panel, we need some way to change the game manager's state. This is what we are going to do in the crowd manager. So let's open the crowd system right here. In the update method, we want to check if we have any more runners available or not. So we can say if the runner's parent.child count is less or equals to 0, it means that we don't have any more runner. So we should trigger the game over. So to do so, we can just call game manager.instance.setGameState, game manager.gameState, game over. This way we are setting the game over. But this logic is placed in the update method, so it might be called on every frame. To prevent this, we can just say right here, if the game manager instance is in game state, we can do this logic. Otherwise, so if it's not in the game state, we can just return and don't do anything to prevent calling this method again on every frame. All right, let's now go back to Unity, and we will need to specify some stuff here in the inspector. So you can drag the game over panel and drop it in the inspector. You can also select the retry button and drag the UI manager, drop it in the callback here, and select the UI manager retry button pressed. This way we can actually restart the game when we press the retry button. So let's try this. Okay, I think it would have been better if we've added more enemies here, so we can try. Let's select the chunk manager, the level 0. Let's click it, and let's open the medium chunk enemies 20. This way we can change the amount of enemies that are available in the group. So let's hit play. Okay, now there are 20 enemies and there are 12 runners, so we should trigger the game over. Perfect. One thing here is that the player is still running, but we can still retry. You see, when pressing the retry button, we've retried the game. We've reloaded the scene. So now let's prevent the player from moving when the game over is triggered. Okay, let's go back to our code here. Let's open the player controller script. And it's perfect because we have already subscribed to the on-game state changed event from the game manager. So in the game state changed callback method, we can just say else if the new game state equals game over, we can stop moving. This way it will prevent the player from moving when it's not the game state, when the game is not playing. So let's try this out. Hit play again. Okay, let's start running. Cool. The player has now stopped, and we can also retry the game. Perfect. Now that we've added this logic, in the next session we will see how we can add the level complete screen to prevent just reloading the scene whenever the player crosses the finish line. Awesome! See you there!